Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, entitled The Cause of All Causes, Text 6. Naham Veda Param Hyasmin,
Naham Veda Param Yasmin.
Na Param Nasamam Vibho,
Na Param Na Samam Vibho.
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam,
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam.
Sadasat Kinchit Anyataha.
Sadasat Kinchidanyataha.
Naham Veda Param Hyasmin,
Naham Veda Param Yasmin.
Na Param Nasamam Vibho,
Na Param Na Samam Vibho.
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam,
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam.
Sadasat Kinchitanyataha.
Sadasat Kinchidanyataha.
Naham Veda Param Hyasmin,
Naham Veda Param Yasmin.
Na Param Nasamam Vibho,
Naparam Nasamam Vibho.
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam,
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam.
Sadasat Kinchitanyataha.
Sarasat Kinchidanyataha. Naham Veda Param Yasmin.
Naham Veda Param Hyasmin,
Naparam Nasamam Vibho.
Na Param Nasamam Vibho,
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam.
Nama Rupa Gunarbhavyam,
Sadasat Kinchidanyataha.
Sadasat Kinchitanyataha. Na,
Now,
do not.
do not.
Aham,
Aham,
myself.
myself.
Veda,
Veda,
no.
no.
Param,
Param,
superior.
superior.
He,
He,
for. Asmin,
Asmin,
in this world.
this world.
Na,
Na,
neither.
neither.
Aparam,
Param,
inferior.
inferior.
Na,
Na,
no.
no.
Samam,
Samam,
equal.
equal.
Vibho,
Vibho,
O great one.
O great one.
Nama,
Nama,
name.
name.
Rupa,
Rupa,
characteristics.
characteristics.
Gunaihi,
Gunaihi,
by qualification.
by qualification.
Bhavyam,
Bhavyam,
all that is created.
all that is created.
Sat,
Sat,
eternal.
eternal.
Asat,
Asat,
temporary.
temporary.
Kinchit,
Kinchit,
or anything like that.
or anything like that.
Anyataha,
Anyataha,
from any other source.
from any other source.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Whatever we can understand by nomenclature, characteristics and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior or equal, eternal or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. Purport. The manifest world is full of varieties of created beings in 8,400,000 species of life, and some of them are superior and inferior to others. In human society, the human being is considered to be the superior living being, and amongst the human beings there are also different varieties, good, bad, equal, etc. But Narada Muni took for granted that none of them has any source of generation besides his father, Brahmaji. Therefore, he wanted to know all about them from Lord Brahma. The translation of the verse again. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristics and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior or equal, eternal or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. Hare Krishna. So, here it is very interesting part of Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Narada Muni is addressing his father, Brahmaji, as Supreme Personality of Godhead, actually. Yes. And he's searching for the ultimate cause of all causes. And this is very important to understand, that one who wants to achieve perfection, or one who wants to seek something higher in his life, he has to inquire. He must know what is the ultimate truth. And this is explained in one of the verses of Chatur Shloki of Bhagavatam, also in second canto. It's said, Etavat eva jigyasan tattva jigyasun atmana anvaya vyatirekavyam yat syat sarvatra sarvada. That one should inquire about absolute truth, either directly or indirectly, at all time and in every place. That means that we should always inquire, always seeking the truth. What is the essence of everything? Yes. Because otherwise our life is animalistic only and nothing else. If you see people of modern world, more or less they live just animalistic life. Yes. They do some work to live, and they have children, or they don't have children. Yes. In modern world it's not so fancy to have children. It's better to enjoy without children. Yes, so there is less and less children, actually. But actually, people want to enjoy and have fun, but actually they're always afraid. Fear is constant companion of a living entity. Yes. There are 4 basic principles of every life. This eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And this defending is also, it's bhaya actually, it's fear, it's fearing. And because of fear, we try to protect. And whatever we do actually is some kind of protection. Yes. We have some shelter, this is a protection actually. And we wear some clothes, it's also protection. It's also fear of being too cold. And all life is permeated by fear. Yes. And people do go to work that they don't like. Many people. Because of fear. Because they consider that if I don't do this particular work, I'll be in great trouble, isn't it? And so, yes, we should know that this world is permeated by fear. But this is not anything special for a human being. Also, every animal is afraid. Yes, all the time. If you see a deer, how deer is grazing grass. Have you seen a deer? And how the deer is grazing grass? Yeah. Just take one bite, and then looking all around what's happening, and then another bite. Yes. The deer is always afraid. The deer is always afraid. And more we are irregular in our eating and sleeping and mating, more there is fear in our life. Yes. So we can check. And people, many times, they think that I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of death, for example. Have you heard someone say like this? Yes, but and this is ignorance. Because they are always, also them, they are afraid. Because otherwise, why do they do things that they don't like? Everyone does things that they don't like. Yes. All kind of austerities are things that we don't like, aren't they? And everyone undergoes some austerities every day. Even the fact that we have to go to the toilet is some kind of austerity, some kind of suffering, isn't it? Yes. So, and more the life is irregular, more there is fear present. So it's very important to understand how to regulate our life. Because if we regulate our life, then there is less fear. And if there is less fear, then we can absorb our mind in something which is higher. Because fear is actually very... it's meant, of course, it's Krishna's creation, fear also. And it's meant for survival of the body. Yes. Fear has its purpose. If we weren't be afraid of anything, we could be very quickly in the situation to die. We cross the road with heavy traffic or on motorway. We can be easily killed if there is no fear present. So yes, fear has its purpose to survive on our bodily level. So we should use it, this fear, in Krishna's service. Yes, because we should know the truth. The truth, absolute truth. The truth is Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhritam sarvabhutanam gyatmamam shantin richati. Krishna explains in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-gita that I'm the enjoyer of everything and I'm proprietor of everything. Yes, Bhoktaram yagatapasam, of all sacrifices and austerities, and I'm the proprietor of all worlds. Yes, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. And we should know what this means. We just mentioned that we all do some sacrifices in our life. Yes. And he's the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Bhoktaram yaga tapasam. And of all austerities. Yes. Whatever we do actually is some sacrifice. For example, you have come here. And this is some kind of sacrifice, because you could do anything else. You sacrificed your time to come here, and to listen to Krishna Katha. Yes. And also it's in austerity. And austerity is even sleeping, sitting on the floor is also an austerity. And we can see that people are moving here and there because it's not so comfortable. But we should know that all these austerities and sacrifices are meant only for the satisfaction of Vishnu, of the Lord. Yagyartat karma nonyatra, lokaya karma bandhana, tadartam api kantaya mukta sangha samachara. It's explained in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad-gita that every work should be performed as a sacrifice for Lord Vishnu. And by performing such work as a sacrifice for the Lord, will be free. Yes, all the time. But if we do not perform the work as a sacrifice for the Lord, then it's the cause of bondage. The cause of bondage. And everyone wants to be free, actually. Spirit is free by its very nature. Everyone is free to choose his way of living. And, of course, to some degree, to minute degree, because we are conditioned into certain form of life, to certain conditions in our life. So to minute degree, we are free to choose our way of living. But if we choose to live according to Krishna consciousness principles, then we can become ultimately free, even in this life. Yes, this is the secret knowledge, Paramarahasya. Yes, it is explained by Krishna in many different places in Shastra. So, in here we can see that Narada Muni is inquiring, and this is the right way to achieve proper higher knowledge. And he's thinking that everything is emanating from his father, Lord Brahma. Yes. Every particular thing, there are names, characteristics, features, either superior, inferior, or equal, eternal or temporary, is created from you, from your lordship. And he's calling his father, thou so great, O great father. Yes. And here Prabhupada explains in the purport that the world is full of varieties of created beings, 8,400,000 species. And we discussed fear before, and because this place is fearsome, it is explained in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ahastani sahastanam apatani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. That one living entity is food for another. Yes. And therefore everyone is afraid. Everyone is living on the expense of the other. Even if we don't eat other living entities, we live on their expense. Yes. If you think deeply, we can see that every job that exists is existing because of suffering of others. For example, if you are a doctor, you wouldn't have your job if no one would fall sick, isn't it? Or if there wouldn't be ignorance, there would be no teachers. So, or if you're a plumber, for example, so one needs to have plumage very nicely done, otherwise I will suffer. So every job is existing because of suffering of others. Yes. So we live on expense of suffering of others. If there wouldn't be any suffering, there would be no need for any service, isn't it? Yes. Any kind of service. So yes, but service is also a source of all pleasure, if it is devotional service. Actually, this is the only source of pleasure, is service. Usually people think in this modern world that if I have different things, that these things will make me happy. But it's just illusion, because things cannot make one happy. Yes. No one has ever become happy by having things. Yes. And people are so illusioned in modern world that they love things and use people instead of love people and use things. Yes. Even modern psychologists, they say that what people think that it brings them happiness when they get something, some material thing, it's actually just temporary temporary. People are without desire. Yes, so it's because they are without desire for this particular thing, that they think, yes, this brings me happiness. I'm happy. But then the next moment desire kicks again in, and they're miserable again. For example, they get new phone, and they are happy. They think they are happy, and then just next week, new version of this phone comes and it's better, has new features, and you're miserable. Why didn't I wait for for another week? Or you get something and it's damaged and whatever. Then new desire comes and we suffer again. And then we have to satisfy this new desire. Yes. So everyone lives at the expense of the other living entity. And there are always competition among them for everything, for the space, for the food. So there is fear and struggle and conflict on every level of existence. Yes. And here Narada Muni also explains that some things are sat and others asat. And these two words are translated differently in different places. Most common understanding of sat and asat is mentioned here, that something is eternal and something is temporary. And we should know that the eternal is only spiritual existence. Actually, all energies of the Lord are eternal, because the Lord himself is eternal, and all his energies are also eternal. Also, this material energy is also eternal energy. But the difference between spiritual energy and material energy is that material energy is always changing. Therefore, any form that we can see, that we perceive, is always changing. Therefore, everyone in this world is illusioned, because we take something that is not real to be real. For example, these forms that we can see, they are not existent anymore. Even the scientists say that everything is always changing, all the time. It cannot be still even for a fraction of a moment. And whatever we see, there is light from that particular object going to our eyes. And during this time, of course, this fraction of a time that light comes from the object to our eyes. But still, there is some time, isn't it? And in this particular time, this object has already changed. Yes, because it's in constant movement. It's not stagnant even for a moment. Therefore, whatever we see is already gone. It's non-existent anymore. Yes, you understand? Yes. So whatever we perceive is actually illusion. Nothing is real. So we should see beyond this matter. We should try to train our consciousness to see beyond matter, beyond illusion. Yes, and this is the process of Krishna consciousness, that we should know what is eternal and what is temporary. Yes, and these temporary things can be used. It's so beautifully created by Krishna that even temporary things can be used to achieve something eternal. And this is the science of Krishna consciousness. Using temporary things to achieve something eternal. This is magic, actually. Otherwise, no temporary thing can give us something eternal. It's contradictory. But Krishna consciousness is magic, actually. Yes. Yeah. Actually, it's magic. And by something temporary, we can achieve something eternal. Yes. And to achieve Krishna consciousness, one should inquire. It is explained in the second chapter of first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that Kamasya nendriya pritir labo jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa nartoyashcheha karmapi. Usually people live to enjoy, and actually is the purpose of life is to be happy, to enjoy. Anandamayo vyasat. By our very nature, we are living entities of happiness. We cannot live without happiness even for a moment. And whatever we do, whatever we think, whatever we say, is actually searching for happiness, if we know it or not. Yes. Even if we do something we don't like, it's just because that we wouldn't be more misfortunate as we are now. Yes. So it's searching for happiness. And it is said, Kamasya na indriya priti. That means that this sense gratification is not, and sense gratification is everything: eating, sleeping, drinking, hearing things, is everything about gratifying our senses in some way or another. But it's not meant for indriya priti, not meant for sense enjoyment. This karma is not meant for sense enjoyment, but labo jiveta yavata. Then why? It's meant for it's meant that we live. Yes, because without satisfying to a certain degree our senses, we cannot live. Yes. If we don't breathe, if we don't eat, if we don't see or hear, it's very difficult to live. So these sense perceptions and gratifying this sense perception is meant only for survival. So if you are wise, you'll not struggle for sense satisfaction, for sense enjoyment actually. But as Prabhupada puts it many times, just to keep body and soul together. Yeah. But it's very difficult to give up this desire for sense enjoyment, isn't it? Because we are habituated to this. We are created, actually. Our bodies are created to experience sense enjoyment. Yes, because sense enjoyment is helping us to survive. And therefore we have likes and dislikes. Yes. But one who is wise, who tries to go beyond this matter, he will realize that sense enjoyment is against my interest. Yes. It's completely against my interest. Because this sense enjoyment that I like so much will give me suffering life after life after life. Yes. As Krishna says in 5th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, Yehi sansparshara bhoga dukkha yona evati adyantavanta konte natisharamati buddha. That those who are wise, they don't try to enjoy this sense perception. They don't try to enjoy in this material world. Why? What do you think? Yes.
We get a reaction and we're in the circle of birth and death.
We get in the circle of birth and death. Yes. It's true, actually. But if you think, it's also something else. If something brings us happiness in this life, no one who is sane wants that this thing that makes him happy would perish, it would be finished. But everything in this world is finished. And more we enjoy something, more we become attached to this particular thing. And more we suffer when we lose it. And it's by very nature, this world is created like this, that we'll lose it definitely. It's not question we lose it or not, but it's only a question of when. Yes. And so more we are attached to this particular thing, more we will suffer. And no one wants to suffer. So if one is wise, he will try to search for something that is not of this world. Because everything in this world will bring us suffering and misery. Yes. Association of the opposite sex will bring us misery. Yes. Fame, if we are attached to fame, this will definitely bring us misery. Because everything in this world is duality. This is the world of duality. If there is fame, there will be infamy. If we are attached to health, we'll suffer more when we are diseased. Yes. Because this is duality, world of duality. And if we are attached to our wealth, we'll suffer terribly when we lose it. And even if we are wealthy till the very end of our life, if we are attached to wealth, then we'll terribly suffer when we are dying. Understand? Yes, because we are attached to wealth, and all this wealth cannot help me. And I cannot take it with me. Now, I saw once a very nice picture, how one skeleton is holding tightly to a heap of gold. Yes. But he couldn't take it away. Yes. There is skeleton which holds tightly to a heap of gold, but the soul cannot take gold with him to another life. Yes. So another life, and if we misused wealth and use it only for our purpose, we'll be poor in our next life. Yes, because this is sinful. Because we should know to whom everything belongs. Everything belongs to Krishna. So if our wealth, our knowledge, our humanitarian work, or our job, or anything is not used for the service of Krishna, for the service of his devotees, it will be cause of our suffering. Yes. In this and next life. Because if we use everything for our selfish purposes, we are miserable also in this life, actually. Yes. Because then we have so many enemies, don't we? Yes. If we use everything for our purpose, then everyone is potential enemy. Yes. Because the other people are striving to take this away from us. Yes, or engage us in some kind of service. But if you are selfish, we don't want to serve anyone. Yes, and in this way, even Bhagavatam explains that our family members are like plunderers. Yes, because they take away our hard-earned wealth. Yes. So wise people don't strive for any kind of happiness in this world. Yes. And it is explained by Prahlad Maharaj, Sukhaya dukkha moksha sankalpa iha karmana sadapnoti haya dukkham anihaya sukhavritaha. It's interesting, very interesting verse. It says that those who are materially inclined people, their sankalpa or firm vow and determination is, I will find happiness. This is one sankalpa. And other sankalpa, other firm determination, other firm vow is, I will be free from all miseries. Sukhaya, dukkha mokshaya. Dukkha means suffering, and mokshaya means to be free from suffering. Yes, sankalpa iha karmina. It's their sankalpa, their firm vow. But what is the result? Sadapnoti haya dukkham. What they get always is just misery. Yes. But anihaya sukhavritaha. Those who don't strive for happiness, who find happiness somewhere beyond this world, they're covered, they're enveloped in happiness. This is the secret. This is the secret and the magic of Krishna consciousness. To use what is temporary to achieve what is eternal. Yes. And then we can enjoy eternally. Yes. But, of course, if we want to enjoy, if this is our purpose to enjoy, then we'll not get to the eternal world. we should understand. Because eternal world is a world of service. And this service is actually what gives us real pleasure. Yes. For example, that you will easily understand this, if you love someone very much, for example, your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or husband or your child, and you make this person that you love happy. This makes you the most profound happiness, actually. I don't know, maybe I have already told you a story from Slovene literature, because I tell it many times, because it's a very nice story that illustrates this, how something, if we serve someone that we love, that we make, if we make someone happy that we love, it's most pleasing to the heart. Once a small boy, he was around 5 years old, heard a conversation between his father and mother. And mother said that she would like next day to decorate Mary's altar in the church with small white flowers. I don't know the English word for it, but these particular flowers grew only in springtime. But it was already past this time, and nowhere it would be found, this particular type of flowers, very good smelling, a nice smell. Only, and mother said that these flowers grow only in some deep valley. It was called Hell, this valley. And this boy knew this valley very well, because his father sent him to graze sheep and goats to this valley, because summer, when everywhere the grass was scorched, in this valley it wasn't. It was very nice green grass, because also one brooklet was flowing in the bottom of this valley. But it was very dark, and because of this name, Hell, he was terrified of this valley. And many times he escaped from this valley with the animals, and his father was very angry and chastised him and punished him. So he was really terrified of this valley, because he expected that any time some devil will come and take me away. So when he heard this conversation between his father and mother, next morning, before sunrise, he ran into this valley and to this particular kind of flowers, and he grabbed them, and when he had full of bunch of these flowers, he ran out of this valley as fast as he could, because it was even more frightening, this valley, because it was completely dark, and this brooklet was echoing from the walls of this valley, very frighteningly. And then when he was returning home, his mother just came out from the house, and she stood on the threshold of the house. And at that very moment, the sun rose, and the first rays of rising sun were illuminating his mother. And this was the most beautiful sight he has ever seen. And he ran to his mother and gave these flowers to her. And she immediately understood what kind of sacrifice was for her son, that he went to because she knew that he is afraid of this valley, and that these flowers were growing only in this valley and nowhere else. So she understood and the sacrifice that he performed, and this memory stayed with this person for whole his life as something most dear to him. Most dear memory in his life was actually how he satisfied his mother, whom he really loved. Yes. So this is the purpose. But if we love someone who is temporary, then this will bring us great suffering. If we are very much attached to our loved ones, we'll also very much suffer when we lose them, and we'll definitely lose them, every one of them, including ourselves. So the best policy is to get attached to Krishna with all our heart. Yes. Because a relationship with Krishna is never lost. So I invite you to go deep in Krishna consciousness. It's not enough to just chant a little bit here and there, but we should go deep. Otherwise, if we don't go deep, we'll definitely go deep in material life because we are used to our material life from time immemorial, life after life after life. And we have been searching for happiness in this world, and we are used to search happiness in this world. And if we don't go deep, we'll just prolong our suffering. Yes, as we would voluntarily prolong our imprisonment. And actually, this is the true comparison. This is imprisonment. This is life of imprisonment. But we are so attached to this imprisonment that we don't want to get free and enjoy real life. Yes. So, if you really want to enjoy real life, go deep in your Krishna consciousness. Go deep in your chanting. Not just chant here and there or catch your rounds, but go deep in your rounds. Deep. Yes. Take time, because this is the only thing that's worth taking time. And devotee association. If you're not chanting now, you better come to devotee association regularly and hear about Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or comment or doubt? Yes, please.
I would like to ask you, you mentioned about that we have fear and that we want to enjoy, and what is about to take care about the old age? If we, for example, understand that we cannot maybe work anymore and the government has not enough resources to support us, is it, what do you think about to care about the old age?
Yes, very good question. Actually, this caring about the old age is also fear. Because we are afraid what will happen when I cannot work anymore. There is a story from Chaitanya Bhagavata. Lord Chaitanya and his associates were dancing and chanting and feasting every day at the house of Srivas Thakur. And Lord Chaitanya saw that Srivas Thakur doesn't perform any work for living, and he has a family, and of course he could expect that he will become old very soon, because he was quite older than Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was in his 20s. So he can become old very quickly. So he asked him, I cannot see that you perform any work to support you and your family. What is your purpose? How will you survive? And do you know what was the answer of Srivas Thakur? This was the answer. And very mysterious answer. And Lord Chaitanya asked Shiva Thakur, "What's the meaning of this?" Clapping 3 times. And then Shiva Thakur replied that if 3 days in a row I don't get, me and my family don't get enough food to survive, I will tie a big stone around my neck and I will drown in Ganges river. And Lord Chaitanya was so enthusiastic about this reply that he said, if there is great famine in the country and scarcity, that even goddess Lakshmi, which is goddess of fortune, is so poor that she has to beg door to door. In your house, nothing will lack. Everything will be in abundance. So this happens if one has firm faith in Krishna. Because who supports every living entity? It's only Krishna. Yes. Once the disciples of Jesus were expressing this fear, how we will survive. And he said, it's only the Lord in the sky who supports all these birds, gives life and food to these birds, and dresses the lilies on the field more gorgeously than the King Solomon. Yes. So, of course, then we should perform some work, because everyone should work. We should know this. It's explained in third chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Nahi kachikshanamapi jatutishtatiya karmakrit karate hevashet karma saraprakritik jargane. That not even for a moment one can be inactive. So we should perform some work for the satisfaction of Vishnu, as we already explained in this class. So, according to your particular social role, you do your particular duties. So, if you are a grihastha, one of the duty of grihastha is also to collect some money, by which he should support the society, and especially Krishna conscious society. And then he can expect, at least in normal society, that society will take care of him or her. Yes. So it really depends on the level of your faith and surrender to Krishna. If you are not so sure that Krishna will take care of you, it's better that you take care of yourself. But if you are completely dependent on Krishna, then Krishna will definitely take care of you. No doubt. Yes. But and if you achieve this state of consciousness that you are completely dependent on Krishna, then even if you die of starvation, you will perceive this as Krishna's special mercy on you. Yes, and you'll be most happy. Is this okay?
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
I have another question.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that have a question? Yes, you can. You can ask now. Yes.
Thank you for the class. I had a question about so you said that sense enjoyment is the cause of bondage, because it will be whether we enjoy now, we will suffer in whether in this life or in future lives. And there's always a class of people who think that this is the only life we have, and so therefore I should try to enjoy
as much as I can.
as much as I can. And even if they don't take this, let's say, hedonistic approach to life, they're more balanced, there's still like a very, it's not a complete understanding that that there's life beyond this life. And so if someone is thinking like that, then it makes sense to try to enjoy this life.
Yes.
So how would you explain to them? Like, I was just reminded of this verse in Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 2.26, where Krishna says, if however you think the soul is always born and dies forever.
Yes.
It reminded me of like these type of people who don't see, sometimes even myself as well, I don't see that the soul is going to continue this life, and therefore I think sometimes I can try and enjoy. But how can you make sure that you are always aware that this
Yes.
soul is going to continue to
This state of consciousness that you describe is ignorance. It's called ignorance. And therefore we mentioned at the beginning that one should inquire about absolute truth at all times, in every circumstance, directly and indirectly, if he wants good for himself. And it's not so difficult to understand that we are eternal living entity. For example, if you take a mirror in one hand and a picture when you were born in another, you can see it's completely different body. Completely different body. And even scientists say that every 7 years we completely change all the cells of the body. So we're completely different on bodily level. And not that just gross body changed, but also our subtle body has changed. Our desires have changed. Our expectations in life have changed. Our ideas have changed. So on gross and subtle level, we are a completely different personality. But still, we know that we are the same person, isn't it? So, if one thinks that everything will be finished, so I should try to enjoy as much as I can now, or even if we don't have such hedonistic idea, that we focus only on bodily needs, this is a sign of ignorance. Sign of ignorance, and that we don't understand the reality. Yes, because what we try to satisfy, this will perish sooner or later, but we don't perish. That is explained in just few verses before. Quite a lot of verses Krishna used in explaining that we don't die. Nasato videte bhavo na bhavo videte sata. Upayorapi drishtantastvanayostastva darshivi. Yes, this next one of the verses that explains that and that what is temporary is actually non-existent. Yes, and the only existent thing is what is eternal, because something that is temporary, it's always in this fluctuation. It's non-existent. So if we try to satisfy something non-existent, Aren't we crazy? Actually. Yes. And Krishna also explains that Dehinos minyata dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatadahantara praptir dirastatra namukyati. That we change our body all the time from boyhood, youth, old age, and so we'll also at the end of this life we'll enter another body. So if we think that this body is important, or that we should somehow or other focus our life on this body, then we are ignorant. Because our true purpose of life is to be eternally happy. Yes, but we cannot be happy on bodily level, because everything will be taken away sooner or later. And we don't have capacity to unlimitedly enjoy with this body. Even if we enjoy something very much. For example, you enjoy certain food very much. What kind of food do you like?
My mother's food.
Your mother's food. But yes,
Indian food.
Indian food. But you can imagine that you eat and you eat for hours and hours and you don't stop. It will turn to suffering, isn't it? If you don't stop. Or if you stop a little bit too late, it's already a little bit of suffering, isn't it? Or if you stop a little bit too early, it's also suffering because so this particular thing that brings you so much pleasure actually brings you suffering all the time. But our spiritual understanding, spiritual life, will brings us more and more enjoyment. Not that we enjoy to a certain degree, but it's ever increasing enjoyment actually. Yes. Anandam buddhivardhanam. It's ever increasing ocean of happiness. So, if one thinks like this is a sign of ignorance. And if one inquires about absolute truth, then it's very easy actually to understand that we are eternal, so we should satisfy the eternal, not something temporary. This temporary is necessary to help us to achieve eternal. Yes, Hare Krishna. You wanted to ask something?
So I wanted to ask, thank you for the wonderful lecture, thought-provoking lecture, I would say. And Prabhu, my question is that's inclined to what Rikesh Prabhu just asked. The thing is for most of us, it's really difficult to get the glimpse of the spiritual happiness. So whenever elevated devotees like you speak about the spiritual happiness, so I don't know how many of us and how much of us we have already relished or experienced that spiritual happiness. But the thing is, material happiness or sense gratification is really available. We just go into Amazon and whatever we desire we can order and it's there. So Prabhu, how can we motivate even ourselves and also the others who are really new or who are just coming to the temple for having darshan, and they are thinking, oh, that's enough, that's my pious activity, I did everything, and then going out and just buying or opening a beer bottle. I have seen people doing that. So according to the scriptures or according to my understanding, so when we are in the temple or we came to the temple, we came with the devotees, we chanted, we sang, we did service, we honor prasadam. So we should have this satisfaction that it's enough, I don't need anything else. Then still, because we have not experienced that spiritual happiness. So bro, how to motivate people and ourselves also, bro?
Yes. This is very important question. as I said before, we are anandamayobhyasat, we are pleasure-seeking living entities. We cannot live without pleasure, even for a moment, actually. So Lord Krishna explains in the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dihina, rasa varcham rasopasya parandraštva nivartate. That one may give up the pleasure of sense enjoyment and strive only for something higher, but if there is no higher taste, he will definitely again plunge into material enjoyment, because we cannot live without enjoyment. So the real question is how to find spiritual pleasure, to find the higher taste. And therefore this path of Krishna consciousness is a scientific process of achieving higher taste. And it actually it's said that it's Kevala Ananda Kanda. It's simply joyful. And therefore it's so many pleasurable activities, like chanting, dancing and feasting, which are pleasurable also for the body and mind. And of course, little philosophy is also very beneficial. And by this understanding, then we can engage in some austerity. Some austerity is needed to achieve anything. So with faith in the goal, we undergo some process. So if we have faith that by studying I will become a medical professional, then I undergo some austerity to become one, isn't it? To study and so on. And if I have faith that by having a particular job I will be happy, or I'll earn enough money for nice living, I will definitely undergo austerity and perform this work, isn't it? And I believe that's the reason why so many you Indians are here in the West, because you believe that earning money here in Germany is better than in India, and I can support myself easier and more nicer, and I can support even my family with this money that I earn here. But I would rather live in India if I would easily live like this, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone agrees who are from India? I would rather be at home in my village or town, if it's nice, of course. So if we have faith in some goal, then we undergo certain austerity to achieve it. So therefore faith is only requirement for bhakti. It's only a requirement for bhakti. Because we need to have faith in any process. We have just explained that if we don't have faith in something, we will not do it, even if it's material. If I say to you by, I don't know, watching certain YouTube channel for 1 hour a day, I will give you 300,000 euros at the end of the week. If you would have faith in my words, you would do it really enthusiastically, watching this TV channel, even if it would be dull and boring, for 1 week, isn't it? If you would have faith in my words. But if you wouldn't do it, not for a moment, isn't it? So, yes, faith is needed, that we understand. And it's not just blind faith, it's based on Shastra, which is extremely logical. Krishna's words in Bhagavad-gita are logical, are not just dogma type of faith. It's logical. You know for yourself, you've been born, isn't it? You're a small boy, and now you're a grown-up man. Yes. So your body changed, and Krishna is explaining, yes, body is changing, but you're the same person. And even the state acknowledges this. Yes, you have to get new passport every 10 years, isn't it? And if you're a child, you have to get new passport every 5 years. Because even the state acknowledges your body changed, but you are the same person. Yes. So Krishna is explaining very logical things. So we should also have faith in other Krishna's words that explaining something eternal. If we are wise. And then we can engage in a little austerity to achieve this state of consciousness. And everyone knows that living in Sattva Gun brings happiness even in material sense. And it's conducive for spiritual understanding. So if we don't have full faith, then we can strive for higher state of material life, for goodness, and then our brain will be ready to understand spiritual dimension. And this is therefore the association is very much important, because if we associate with coarse sense enjoyers, then we'll also become one, if we are not already. If we associate with drunkards, we'll definitely start to drink ourselves. Yes. Otherwise, why would one be in association of drunkards, for example? Or if we associate with greedy people who always describe how to get money and how to get more, how to exploit others to get more and more, then we'll also become greedy. It's natural. So if one wants to develop spiritual consciousness, he definitely should associate with spiritually enlightened persons. And try to be ourselves also spiritually enlightened. It's okay? Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
You mentioned before that if we live a regulated life, then our fear is also going away.
Is less.
And maybe you can explain a little bit more on this, because I would like to share. I have actually a little bit different experience. If I think about my past, I was very much in Tamagun, and I thought only about how can I have enough money for the next party. It was actually a very easy goal to reach this, and I was not happy. I understand now that I just thought I was happy, but it was actually easy. And now I follow principles, and my mind is clear, and I think also about more things. And sometimes when I see a homeless person on the street, I think he has less worries. He just thinks he wants a beer or some blanket, and he might get it. And then everything is finished. It's a minimal goal, and he is satisfied. And I think about, oh my God, I made again Vaishnava apparat, and this and that, and this and that, and I'm actually more worried.
It's a very interesting question. It is explained in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yascha mudatamu loki, yascha buddhih parangata, tau bau sukhamidite klishyantar taritojanaha. And it means that the most course-full and the enlightened persons are happy. And those in between are suffering. So, one who is like an animal, he's also always afraid actually. But he doesn't realize this, because this suffering and fear is so common that he doesn't perceive it anymore. You understand? For example, for a drunkard, it's not inconvenient to be very dirty, or even to lie down in some dirt. But for one who is a little bit more sattvic, this is disgusting. So he cannot tolerate such things that are easily tolerated by someone in Tamagun. But also his life is suffering, but he doesn't realize it. And also he's always afraid. You just mentioned he's afraid, if I get enough for the next beer, will this beer come quickly enough? Will this person give me enough money that I beg from him? So he's always afraid, actually. Understand? But Krishna conscious person, more you're Krishna conscious, less you're afraid. Because Bajruhure mana Nandanandana Abhayas Charanara Vindari. That you are completely fearless if you are Krishna conscious, really. So, as long as we are not completely Krishna conscious, we have still many different fears. But we have also moments or periods that we are blissful with Krishna, because everyone has some experience of blissful spiritual life. Otherwise, if there would be no experiences of blissful life, of Krishna consciousness, no one would actually endure in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna gives some blissful moments, at least in the beginning, that we can experience something higher. And during this time you are not afraid, you're feeling close to Krishna. Yes, so, and if we regulate our eating, then we are also more healthy, and less we are afraid for our health. Understand? If one is a ferocious eater and eats anything, and because of this he's getting different diseases, he's always afraid. Yes. Looks like nectar at the beginning and it's poison at the end. Yes, he's always afraid. And if we oversleep, then we are also afraid. Why oversleeping? Because we don't want to experience this life, actually. Yes, we want to go deep in forgetfulness. And why forgetfulness? Because we are afraid of reality. And if we have illicit sex relationships, then we definitely are always afraid. Yes. And in anxiety. This causes great anxiety. So, just you think that you're more afraid than before, but actually you were more afraid before, but you didn't realize it so much because of the state of consciousness. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Anything else? You have again question. We can discuss privately because I think it's quite late. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande.